Learning target 8, relate the graph of a quadratic function to an equation. So we were working on learning target 1 and 2 where we were looking at general form and factored form and vertex form. So relating those three things to an equation and pulling out what we know from them. So you're just going to copy down everything I do. So I'm going to try and zoom in. Let's see if this is, oops, that's not what I wanted to do. Hold on a second. Let's see if I can. Here we go. All right. So I'll just move this over there. Alrighty. So if I'm looking at this, I'm just going to put a little hint down here. Like when I look at this, I know that this is going to be in factored form. It's two sets of parentheses set equal to y. So things I know about factored form is that if I take each of these and set them to 0, I'll get my roots. So I'm going to find my roots. So right away I know that my root is if I set this equal to 0, I'm going to get my roots to be -4 and a +2. And how I know this is I set y equal to 0. So if I set y equal to 0, then I have this equal to 0, which gives me -4. This equal to 0, I add 2 and I get +2. This one, if I look, it's in vertex form. And so the first thing I know is if with vertex form, it's going to give me the vertex. And the vertex, if I think about this, it's always these 2 points. And -3 always tells me the opposite. It's not moving left 3, I'm moving right 3. So if I think of that, I move right 3 and I move up 6. I move right 3 and I move up 6, so my vertex is the opposite of what's in here. 3 and then 6. So the way I know this is again, I move right 3 and up 6 from the vertex form. Here, this again looks just like this. This is also in factored form. So again, I'm going to find my roots. My roots are also going to be -4 and 2, and the reason I know that is I set my y equal to 0. But the other thing I know, and I'm going to highlight this, I guess, highlight in green, is I have an a value now. I have an a value. And so a here is -1, which that tells me that it's less than 1, so it's a vertical shrink. And this is just from, I know what a is, like so, a equals a -1 from factored form, I guess. If I'm looking at that, so this is negative. So all this tells me is that it's going to be facing down. And by a vertical shrink, I don't know why I said that. This is going to be a reflection, negative. It's a positive or negative. Sorry about that. It's going to be a reflection. And so it reflects down. It has nothing to do with the shrink or sharp. This is a reflect. And then this one is going to be in my general form. And from general form, I don't have an a. My a is 1, so there's no stretch or shrink. But I have this, and it tells me my y-intercept. From general form, I can either get my a, but I don't have one here, or y-intercept. So my y-intercept here is -30. And there's no scale factor. And I just know this just from knowing general form. Just by knowing that C, my C is always my y-intercept. So what I'm going to do now is using these, so you're going to have to look at yours. No, I'll zoom out of this now. Oop, that's bigger. So now, using these, I'm going to try and put A, B, C, and D in the equation. And the easiest one for me to do is this one has about negative, so it's upside down, right? That is my reflection. Here's my only one that is reflected. So this has to be C. This has to be C because my A is -1. Don't worry about that. My A is -1, so this has to be C. Another one that I like to look at is vertex. Vertex form, I'm just going to look for a vertex that's 3, 6. That's negative. It's not going to be this one. This is a negative something and like a negative number. So this looks, I'm going to assume that that's 3, 6. That's the only one that it could possibly be. So this has to be B because of the vertex. Another one that I would like to look at is my y-intercept of 0. So when I think of that, my y-intercept is always when my x is 0, my y is -30. So x is 0, y is negative 30. It does not look like a negative 30. So when x is 0, y is negative 30. I'm going to say it's this one. I'm going to say it's this. But if I was confused, I could also look at roots, right? Because a is telling me roots of negative 4 and 2. Well, if this is negative 4, that would not be 2, but this looks like maybe negative 4 and 2. So I'm going to say a here and d there. These letters are a little messed up, so I'm just going to don't just make them go with this. So it's going to be L, M, N, O. So the coordinate of L, or the coordinate of this point, it goes with A. That's going to be my roots. It's one of those roots. So since it's the positive one, that point is my 2. So this is where my x is 2 and my y is 0. So x is 2, y is 0. For this point right here, C, so if I look at C, it's factored form. This is, again, roots. But I'm looking at the negative one now, the root that's negative. So that's negative 4. So that point is going to be negative 4, 0. My n is over here. That's just my vertex. And if I look at B, that's my vertex form. 3, 6. My O is that y-intercept, and this gives me that y-intercept of negative 30, and that's always where x is 0, and that's my y-intercept. So I'm just using these to help me, figure out what I know and help me be able to identify which graph it goes with. So before class, I want you to write 2 quadratic equations. I don't want you to use any that we've done in class. Don't use your notes. Make up one on your own. But you're going to be making up 2. Don't make them the same one. So one is in factored form, and the other is in vertex form. So they're not the same, just in different forms. They're completely 2 different things, one in factored, one in vertex. I want you to try and sketch a graph. So from it, like after you create an equation, just pull out what you know. Like, do I know the roots? What's the roots now? Or what's the vertex? And then just sketch a graph. So that's what you're going to do before class.